Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 22 of the 40-day global study of Maimonides project. We're covering the entirety of Maimonides' Mishnah Torah on Hilchot Teshuvah, the laws of repentance, in memory of my father, Jack Abramson. So we are today beginning the 5th chapter, which is where Maimonides is going to turn a little bit more philosophical and specifically weigh into the debate over free will versus determinism. And he's going to take a very strong position here. There may be some nuances to it that we shall see that open him up to different interpretations, and especially when you compare it with other things he's written in the Guide for the Perplexed and elsewhere, but let's see it right now. Okay, so this is the first halacha of the 5th chapter. Power is granted to every human being. The Hebrew here is the reshut kol adam netuna lo, right? The reshut, the power, the will, the ability to go wherever you want. If one wishes to turn to the good path and become righteous, it is within his power to do so. If one wishes to turn to the evil path and become wicked, it is within his power to do so. This is written in the Torah, in Bereshit, in Genesis. The human has become one of us, knowing good and evil. The one of us is interesting. It's a plural, but it's really referring to God. Another discussion, not for now. That is to say, the human being is unique in the world, incomparable to any other species in this way. A human being knows and can understand the concepts of good and evil and can act on his or her will, without anyone to prevent the performance of good or evil acts. Since this is so, the verse continues, lest he stretch out his hand and take from the tree of life, because humans have the potential to make that choice. Maimonides continues in the second halacha. Do not let a certain notion enter your mind, one held by the foolish members of the nations of the world and the majority of unrefined Jews, that the Holy One who is blessed makes a decree at the beginning of a person's life that determines if one will become righteous or wicked. Meaning, it is not predetermined from the womb what kind of person you will become on a moral level. Other aspects of your existence, your physical deportment, your genetic code, perhaps your life circumstances, these can be predetermined, but not the choices that you will make in life. This is not so. Rather, every person may become as righteous as Moses, our teacher, or as wicked as Yeravam. Right? Moses, our teacher, of course, is the paradigm of ethical behavior, and Yeravam, on the other hand, was a wicked king who led the split between the northern and the southern kingdoms in the ancient period. One may become wise or foolish, merciful or cruel, greedy or generous, and so on with all personal qualities. There is no one who will force him, nor issue a decree against him, nor drag him to one extreme or another. Rather, he himself, knowingly and wittingly, inclines to whatever path he chooses. This is as Jeremiah says in Lamentations, from the mouth of the Most High issues neither evil nor good. Meaning, God, as it were, doesn't say, you're going to be evil, you're going to be good. Meaning, the Creator does not decree that a person become good or evil. Since this is the case, the sinner only harms himself. And therefore, it is appropriate for a person to weep and lament his sins over what he has done to himself and the unfortunate consequences he has wrought. Right? In other words, since we have the power to choose good or evil, if God forbid we choose evil, there's no one to blame but us. We have to take ultimately responsibility for that. This is, and really that's the starting part of Teshuvah, right? Taking responsibility, as we saw way back at the beginning of this process. Confession, which requires awareness, which requires acceptance. That's the beginning of the entire process. You have to realize, I could have done differently, and yet I chose to do the wrong thing. This is as it is written in Lamentations, what shall a living person lament? A man his sins. Jeremiah repeats that since the power is in our hands, and we willingly did all these bad things, then we should certainly return in Teshuvah and abandon our wickedness, for the power is now in our hands. This is what he then writes, again in Lamentations, let us search our ways and examine them and return. Okay? So the beginning of chapter 5, kind of like a serious note, it's all about how, hey, since we have freedom, We are not bound by God's will to do X or Y. It's really our will that makes that decision. We're also responsible for those decisions. We'll continue with this tomorrow, God willing. Thank you for listening.